Everybody, welcome to the next episode of The Free Lawyer. And I'm so thrilled to have with us today Brittany Leonard. Brittany is a young lawyer in Florida, having an amazing career. But what I really love about Brittany is she's so active in posting messages on LinkedIn that help us to be happier, more fulfilled attorneys. Brittany, how are you doing today?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm glad to be here.
Well, thank you for joining us. So, Brittany, tell me about your journey in law, your personal and professional journey, and how you got to where you are today.
Yeah, of course. So I started my career after law school in a law firm environment for 2 years. Did different areas of practice, all the way from real estate to commercial law to tort liability. Just really decided that it was not for me in any way, shape, or form. I kind of did a 2 or 3 month reflection of where I wanted my career to be, what I wanted out of my career. My background was in business, and I always kind of knew I wanted to go in-house. I was told that it was not possible for a very long time. I had to have X amount of experience. So I ended up applying to a company, not legally related, but they actually happen to have a law department. And they said, if you'd like to help out with the law department while you do obviously the job you applied for, we would love that. Ended up getting to the law department and helping them out, loving it, kind of taking it over. And now I've been in-house for, I think, 6.5, 7 years, and could not imagine my life any differently.
That's fantastic. So you worked at a law firm for a couple of years before you moved out of that. And I speak to a lot of lawyers who are so excited about becoming attorneys.
Yeah.
Passed the bar, had a dream of working in a law firm, and they get there and they're frustrated and stressed and overwhelmed. What were some of the experiences or challenges you had in your law firm experience?
There's many different things, and we could be here all day if I went into all the detail of, what I had to go through in those, couple of years. It was very challenging. I would say just a lack of work-life balance, a very micromanaged environment, no freedom to grow, no freedom to, take on work that you wanted to challenge yourself with. Very, very, you stick to your role, you do nothing else. Very stressful, obviously trying to meet billable hours. Just an overall, for me, I was like, I went through these 3 grinding years of law school doing exceptionally well. I was like, thank God I'm finally in the practice. Like, I'm going to have a great time, do great work. And it was just like, it was almost like a 2.0 of law school, if you will. And it was just not something I, ever wanted to. I did it for 2 years, and I was like, even if I don't practice law, I got to get out of here. Like, it just was not something I enjoyed at all.
That's a shame, because one of the things law school doesn't do is really train us to be a lawyer and to understand what the work of a lawyer is and what it feels like. We know how to research and write and maybe do a moot court argument and think logically, but we don't know what it's like to really be a lawyer in a law firm, do we?
No. And a lot of practical skills are definitely missing in the law school environment, for sure.
And you decided to move in-house. What was it about working in-house that attracted to you, and how's it been? What do you like about being an in-house attorney?
Yeah, so I think for me, I really, really enjoy the business side of being in-house. I think probably more so than I do the legal side. I obviously love the law now, and, that's my main role, but, getting in there, grinding out with, the business units and, the business teams that have different projects going on, just kind of, delving into ideas, that sort of thing. That's really where, that joy sparks for me. And I think that's why I love it so much, because I'm not just getting a motion or a research project to do and never seeing it again. I actually see like everything, fully through. And I think that's probably my greatest joy from working in-house.
What challenges does an in-house counsel face different from the challenges of a lawyer working in a law firm?
I think in a law firm, you're very much shielded from the clients, especially as an associate, what have you. And so in an in-house world, like, you have to be very open to be, I don't even know a good term. I say, very people focused. you're going to have a lot of different personalities, from happy-go-lucky people to people that just are not that, happy, I guess you could say, not making it in a negative context, I guess you can say. And, you have to be able to navigate that and be agile and understand that, you can win people over, but everybody's not going to be the same. So you have to take a, dynamic approach to wanting to be willing and able to work with different types of people.
What do you find most fulfilling about what you do, Brittany?
I think that I feel like I'm making a difference, and I never felt like that, before I obviously got in house. And so I feel like the work that I'm doing, I can see results from, and I think that's something that really motivates me to want to do more, want to continue on this path, because I can actually see the benefits of my actual output, I could say.
That's great. That's great. And you and I both post a lot on LinkedIn about different challenges that lawyers face. What do you think are some of the biggest challenges that lawyers in this current legal profession face?
I think, honestly, from overall, I think a lot of people feel isolated. Obviously the pandemic did not help us whatsoever. They feel a lack of confidence, lack of, desire to want to grow, because they don't know if they're suited to grow. They don't know how to grow. They don't know who to talk to. And I think, stress is a lot, depending on where you're at, what field you're in, who your boss is. Like, a lot of factors play into different things. And it's, unfortunate that so many people have to deal with that because they don't know how to navigate to find that happiness.
Yeah, it's funny that we could work in a law firm with a lot of other people, or even in-house with a whole team of people, but yet still feel alone. But that's how many of us feel.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because I can definitely say, obviously, I think we're going to get into it, but I definitely was there, and I definitely was at that point. So it took certain things for me to say, no, this is not, how I want to continue. I'm going to do this to, get better.
So you experienced that feeling of being alone, and you were able to change and escape from it. Tell me about it.
Yeah. So, 3 years ago, I was just, posting something about it a couple of days ago. 3 years ago, I was not feeling like I was in house, and I enjoyed the work, but I still felt how do you say, it just felt isolating, especially when the pandemic happened. The work was great. And I loved, the clients loved obviously working in the business type of environment. That's what one aspect of my life. But the other aspect of my career was, wow, I feel very isolated, and I feel, not like I'm making any, movement towards growth, I guess you could say. And I discovered LinkedIn, which obviously, Gary, that's how you and I met. And this was way back when, 2020, probably early 2020. And I met a friend of mine, I'm sure a lot of people know, Lisa, and we just said, you know what, we're liking people's posts, we're commenting, why don't we do this? And a friend of ours, Alex, I'm sure Alex, a lot of people know Alex too, was like, no, you guys really should post. You guys have a lot of good things to say. And so we just ended up starting, posting or mid to late 2020. And it just has done wonders. I can't tell you how I'm more confident in who I am. I'm more confident in my work. I've gotten onto the board, both at, my position and my job, and on the board of ACC for our local chapter. Speaking engagements. I'm going to be speaking at the national conference in October. It's just been life-changing.
And you connect that in part to your becoming active on LinkedIn and posting.
Basically, for me, I think it's probably more so internally, but I was like, people don't like what I have, probably won't like what I have to say. I don't speak up. I don't say anything when I go to, ACC events, prior to 2020, I just kind of stick to myself. And I was like, well, probably because they don't think, I have anything to say. They don't like me, what have you. And now, because I found my voice, and because I'm, confident in my abilities and who I am, I have people that are 20, 30 years my senior at our ACC chapters. And they're like, hey, I follow you on LinkedIn. I watch your posts. I love what you do. Can you I need advice on this, that, and that. And it's like, wow, people actually, value what I have to say now. And I don't think if it wasn't for being, getting active and being out there, all these things wouldn't have happened.
You know, it's really never ceased to amaze me. You know, we each post things and we get some responses and we get some likes, but I'm always amazed. My sister-in-law passed away the other day and I was at a funeral home, and a friend of my nephew came up to me and said, I see your posts on LinkedIn and I love them. They're so helpful. And I had no idea he was even necessarily connected with me on LinkedIn. So we never know how many people we touch, because we kind of look at who responds, but there are a lot of other people we touch that we don't know about.
I've never made a post about this, and I need to, but like, you know, they call them lurkers because they're like lurking on your stuff, but they don't actually ever comment or like, post, whatever. My boss does. I make fun of him for it all the time. He calls me the legal influencer, and he always, like, every morning he's like, hey, saw the post, like, you know, and gives me his critique or what have you. And I love those people. Like, I love the fact that they're looking. I don't mind that they don't engage. It's totally fine. Sometimes I wish they would personally, like, at least message me so I can say, hey, how are you? But like, I get it. Like, I was there. I was that person. So even if you're not engaging, but you like my content, like from a standpoint of just sitting there reading it, that makes me happy. Like, that makes me happy that I'm helping you in some way. So
you talked about how lawyers often feel alone, and also how some lawyers have this fear of growing and changing, and that's really how they can become what they want to be. What would you say to a lawyer who is feeling alone in their office, or who may need to change but is hesitant to take that step?
You know, it's funny, like, I'm hesitant with this whole like quiet quitting coming out. Like, I'm hesitant to be like, take on more work, do this. Like, obviously that's, you know, I think that's, first of all, that's such a bad term, because they're not quitting. They're obviously doing their job and they're not being quiet about it. They're just, you know, doing what they're supposed to do. But I think, like, you know, if you really want to, if you want to grow, if you want to, you feel like you're stuck, what have you, you know, first I say, take a step back, breathe, and evaluate, you know, what you want, what you like. Are you happy in your career, or do you like the work that you're doing? Because for me, I had to pivot. Like, I thought I was supposed to be, you know, a law firm attorney, associate, then go up to partner, what have you, like, do that path. And I was always told, like I said, you know, you can't go in-house because you don't have X amount of experience. So I was like, okay, well, I pivoted, you kind of outside the law, obviously came back in. And, you know, that was very scary. Like, you know, everyone around me was like, wait, you just spent X amount of dollars in law school and 3 years in it. And it's like, now you're going to do this. Like, so it's not easy. But so, you know, breathing, pivoting, seeing what you value. You know, do you value flexibility in your work schedule? Do you value, you know, compensation, which, no, you know, power to you, like, whatever you value, like, you got to, you know, step back and think of that. And then that can kind of align you with the employer that you want to work for, I guess you could say.
Well, I think that's great. I think taking a step back and, like you say, breathing, and then really evaluating what our goals are. And sometimes we get into the rat race of working really hard, billable hours, making a lot of money, paying off debt. And we don't really think about, what do we want our life to look like? Is this furthering that goal? And,
absolutely.
And then you talked a little bit about the fear, like you made a change, a complete pivot from what you're doing. You didn't know if you would like it or what it would look like, but you overcame that fear. You didn't let that fear stop you, because, you know, we all feel fear when we're doing every time we do something new, we feel fear or uncomfortable, and that's okay. The only way we grow is to feel uncomfortable.
I still think, I know certain people in my family understand what I do. I don't think other people in my family do. And they're like, you do that thing with like a company, but like you do something legal, right? And I'm like, yes, you know, like, and now they obviously see the growth and, you know, the confidence and all that. So they're like, okay, you're happy, it's good, whatever. But when I first made that change and not being in what even the majority of, you know, people in today's world think of as lawyers in a law firm, they're like, no, that's not, you know, the right thing to do. And I was like, well, this is the right thing to do for my happiness.
For you. It's the right thing to do for you. You know, one of the gifts of our profession is we can use our skills that we learned in law school and our training and our education in so many different lanes. We don't have to be a lawyer in a big law firm. We can be, and that's a great profession, but there are many other ways we can utilize our degree, our background, and our experience.
Yeah, like that's, you hit a great point, Gary. Like, you may, like for me, I don't think you learn a lot of practical skills in law school, but what you do learn is a lot of soft skills that you can use to navigate.
What do you think are some of the biggest problems facing the legal profession today?
Probably, unfortunately, I still think you have a lot of the traditional mindset, and people that don't think of, when they think of the law firm environment, they think of the hierarchy, this is the way it's always been done, that sort of thing. I still speak to a lot of people, even in our, local chapter that aren't on LinkedIn, still very much follow that, work till, you can't anymore in mentality, and just aren't happy. And then I walk in like my bubbly personality, and I'm like, no, like you can do this, like this is how it's done. And I don't know, like you just have to be willing and open to want to not be unhappy, I guess. That's my big thing. Like that's why I do what I do, and posting, like there's so many different ways to make, your life better, your career better. And I know how it feels, like you feel like you're stuck and you can't get out and there's no way to ever be happy, but it just takes a lot of work and a lot of, encouragement, and a lot of just getting there. And like, even if, I think the biggest thing is reaching out to somebody that you see happy, that you see, like, I have no problem with people reaching out to me and saying, hey, like, I know you don't know me, but like, how can you help me? I took a call, what's today, Thursday? I took a call Tuesday from someone that follows me, and they're like, hey, I know we've never met. Do you have time for a 15-minute call? And I'm like, actually, I do. Like, let's hop on. And he's
Nice.
like, I'm just, very unhappy. I'm miserable. And he's like, do you have any tips for me? And we kind of just like went through why he was miserable. And I think we did a little bit of reshaping, and I think he is going to use some of that stuff and hopefully helps him.
So for the lawyer who's sitting in his office today, stressed and overwhelmed, burned out, wonder why they ever chose to be a lawyer, what do you suggest?
Take a step back, figure out why. Why are you burned out? Are you burned out because you're overworked? Are you burned out because you're micromanaged? Like, what is the reasoning you feel like you're not happy? Do you not have a life outside of work? Do you not get to go to family events? Because I was there. So figuring out what that is, and then finding someone that, portrays the happiness that you want, or has that ideal lifestyle that you want, reaching out to them and saying, hey, what did you do? How did you get there? And most of us, I don't want to speak for everyone, but most of us are more than willing to help others, because we were there.
I think you really hit on an important point, which is the importance of reaching out. So that lawyer called you the other day, didn't know you, but had the courage to contact a stranger and ask for some support and some guidance. And not knowing you could have said, no, I'm busy, I don't want to, whatever, but you were so accommodating. And the person learned a lot from that, because they're willing to say, I need some support. And that's what I now try to help lawyers be as successful and fulfilled as they want. And part of the problem is so many are afraid to say, I'm struggling, I need some support, I need some guidance. And that's so important.
And if I think one thing I can say is, if you reach out to someone and they're not receptive, they say, oh, like, let me give you to my receptionist or my assistant, and we can schedule down in a few months. Like, everyone is not that busy, I promise you. Like, they may come off like that, but they're not. And so, like, if you get that feeling that they just want to kind of like throw you off and not really help you, find somebody else. Somebody else will. It may take 1 or 2, maybe 3 doors, but it will happen for you.
That's great. What are the top 5 tips you would have for young lawyers today in the legal profession?
Oh, there's so many. I think, first is just breathe. It's okay. Like, make sure that you figure out what you want to do. Join an organization. I know sometimes that takes a lot of your time, and you're like, I'm already stressed as it is. I don't want to add more to my plate. But there's a lot of, networks that do virtual. There's, groups that you can join that you can just, basically have a group chat. You don't have to like really attend or, be accountable to go to certain things. Another tip is take care of your health. It's funny. I did a post the other day, and like, I was talking about, stress and all that kind of stuff. And I had a lot of comments was like, health is first. Like, and it is like, I hate to say, but, I'm not getting any younger, and it's, I see the effects that stress can have on you. So really taking care of your health. And I guess my biggest thing is enjoy life. And if that means going to family events, like, you only have, I hate to be dooming, I guess you could say, but someone had said, the biggest thing that you wish at the end of your life is that you had more time. So don't regret the things that you want to do, because you may not get that time again.
Yeah, I read a book recently, Everyday Legacy, and it's
Mhm.
about the concept that we should not think about what we're going to leave to our family, leave a lot of money we earned during our life as
Yeah.
lawyers, but what do we want to be remembered as? Do we
Yeah.
want to be remembered as a lawyer who made a lot of money and worked every Saturday and Sunday and didn't get to the Dolphin games? Or do you
Yep.
want to be someone who was generous of spirit and time and
Yep.
present and happy and supportive of family and friends? What is it
Yeah.
we want to have as our legacy, and let that fuel the direction that we go in. I
Yeah.
like how
I
you
think,
go on.
go ahead.
I like how you mentioned health and self-care. Um,
Yeah.
so many times we get so stressed and we work so hard and we eat poorly because we don't have
Yep.
time, and we don't have time to go to the gym or take a walk or play golf or whatever it is we like to do.
Yep.
And it's so important,
Yep.
because when we don't feel well, we feel more stress, and then we don't take care of ourselves. We feel bad. We're not taking, and it becomes a cycle that just
Yep.
takes us down. And
Well,
taking
that's what you're saying is, like, the more you do something that you enjoy, you don't just spin and spin and spin. And like, so when I take that time to go see the Dolphins, go Dolphins, by the way, like, when I take that time to do things that I enjoy, I want to get into work. I want to dig deeper. I want to work harder, because not only is my time valued, but like, even when you're out having fun, like, be who you want to be. I'm the type of person, though, like, hey, I'm waiting for a play to go or what have you. I'm like, I can still text, a group in internal chat, like someone has a question. I don't mind answering, because I'm still having fun while doing what I'm doing. So it doesn't feel like work to me.
What do you think are some of the changes you've seen in how lawyers talk about or think about kind of mental health and self-care during the time you've been practicing? Have you seen any changes in that regard?
Yeah, so I think the biggest thing I can say is, I hate to say that the pandemic did wonders, but I think it did a lot to help our profession, from a mental standpoint. The flexibility. I hate when I see these posts about, like, people have to come back to work and, like, people have to go back to the traditional way. I'm like, wait, like, you see how much productivity is helping. Yes, you have one or two bad apples. Every industry does. But like, for the overall health of our profession, every lawyer I've talked to since then, since the pandemic, has been happier. And so, like, let's keep that momentum going. Let's not go back. Obviously, what we were doing before the pandemic wasn't working. And you see, even if it's baby steps now, you see the changes happening. Let's keep that forward momentum.
Yeah, I think that's great. Not only does the ability to work virtually change our life a little bit, but we've learned how important our life is, how important our time is. We appreciate the fact that we can go to a Dolphin game in person, or
Yeah.
we can connect with friends, or that we have our health, because all of us have been touched by someone who is seriously ill
Yep.
from COVID, and in a way that seemed somewhat random at times. So we know our life is important, our time is important and valuable. So I think
Yep.
while there are many terrible things that happened from the pandemic, it helped us to focus a little bit on what's important, I think.
100%. And I think there's a lot of empathy nowadays, which I think is, I feel like going back to, even, like, I guess one of the big events that I can say is, 22 years ago with 9/11, like, and I say that because I'm going to New York next week. And, but back then, like, when everything happened, people were friendlier, people were nicer, like that empathy that people had for each other. And you really got that with the pandemic as well. And it does wonders for people. And if people just kept on that, momentum of that empathy, like, it just does wonders for so many aspects of people's lives.
Yeah, that's really true. Brittany, I really love what you do. I love how, you have a job and you work hard. It's very important, but you find time free time, not for pay, not for compensation, but out of a spirit of generosity to help and lift the legal profession. And I want to thank you for doing that.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. I really appreciate the fact that people, appreciate what I'm doing, and I really value that. So thank you.
I call this podcast The Free Lawyer because it's all about how we can build personal freedom in our lives. What does true personal freedom mean to you?
So many things. Personal freedom to me means the ability to know that I do good work and have the freedom to do that, and not be micromanaged, be able to be flexible in what I do, be able to be seen, for the work that I'm putting in. There's so many aspects of freedom. Happiness is huge to me. Success to me is not defined by, your job title or your compensation. To me, success is the freedom that you can't put a price on. So there's so many aspects of it.
It is really priceless. It's funny. I ask that question at the end of every one of my guest podcasts, and no one has ever said it's making enough money to buy the house I want or the car I want or make sure my pays are built. No one ever acquaints personal freedom to money. And I think that's great. Brittany, thank you so much. For any listeners who like to get in touch with you, what's the best way they can reach out to you and connect with you?
Yeah, of course, LinkedIn is where I'm at most of the time. So happy to throw in my link, and feel free to message me at any point.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Brittany, for joining me today. I think you're dynamite and awesome. And I know everybody loved hearing what you had to share.
Thank you.
And thank you to all of you for listening to another episode of The Free Lawyer. And as always, please be well, be safe, and be